Hey everybody, welcome back to Cosmic Life Astrology. Today we are talking about the Scorpio new moon happening on November 1st. This is going to be intense, to say the least, because we have a lot of things going on in the sky that are going to be like the backbone of this new moon. So the new moon in Scorpio is happening at 9 degrees of Scorpio. It is going to be making a trine to Saturn in Pisces. And so this alone will signify that whatever new beginnings or new energy that is coming in during this new moon, it will be long lasting and something that will bring stability or longevity to it. Then as we look deeper, we have another trine being made, and this is a Grand Water Trine. We have Mars at 29 degrees of Cancer, Neptune at 27 degrees of Pisces, and Mercury at 28 degrees of Scorpio. So when I look at Mars at 29 degrees Cancer, which we're going to look at again after I discuss this, something needs to finish. Mars wants to complete something, right? And when we're looking at Mercury in Scorpio likes to investigate and dig deep and look for the details, what's hidden behind the scenes, brushed under the rug. You know, it's very much about that energy. And then when you have Neptune at home in Pisces, you know, Neptune can be very, dreamy, and there could be illusions or fog around something. So, the timing of this, along with the US election, is very, very auspicious. Because there's a want to complete something and the necessity to investigate or look deeper into something. I see this playing out on a large scale in regards to the US elections, where we may think that the election is over, but there's a need to go back and look at things that may have been brushed under the rug or hidden, or votes that aren't counted that need to be recounted. This election is definitely going to be a mess, to say it nicely. I don't think we're really going to know what the results are, to be honest with you, for quite some time, because as we look further, we have Mars at 29 degrees Cancer also making an opposition to Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn this week. And so we're going to see this Mars opposite Pluto happen 3 times, because Mars is in its shadow period, about ready to prepare for its retrograde cycle. And so we're going to be going through the same realm of Mars and Cancer through the first 6 degrees of Leo. We're going to go over this territory again. And Mars won't be out of this zone until May. So what is starting to kick up during this time, while it's in pre-shadow period, we're going to be going back over and retracing our steps, especially when we're talking about Mars, who likes to take action and, get the ground running. There's going to be a need to retrace steps and go back over things, maybe, making a change of plan. But with the anaretic degree involved, it wants to be done with it. It wants to be released. And so, we may think something is over. And then when Mars goes into Leo, it's like, it's stronger in Leo. So it's like, okay, yes. Oh my God, finally, we're done. We got through this. Now we can take some action and be more strong in our will, and feel more confident in the steps that we're taking. But then when Mars goes retrograde and it gets back to that anaretic degree and goes back into Cancer, there's something that we have to address again. And so this is an important thing to keep in mind, especially over the next coming months, because we are in that shadow period. So pay attention to what's coming up. But in regards to the Scorpio new moon, you know, this is a signature. And, you know, with new moons, we always say that, you know, things can come to a culmination 6 months later when that full moon in that sign occurs. And so, you know, that coincides with Mars, you know, completing the retrograde and coming out of the territory that it's going to go back and forth through around the same time that we'll see the Scorpio full moon happen, right? So it's very much in line with each other. So, you know, in our personal lives, there could be something going on that you're trying to finish, where you think you're done, you know, and you get into, Mars goes into Leo and it's like, yes, okay, I'm done. I can be free to do what I want. You know, you feel confident, you feel, you know, a little more sexy with Mars and Leo and more passionate. And then something, you know, kind of bursts that bubble a little bit and is like, not too fast. Slow it down, killer. We still need to, you know, take care of a couple minute details before you can really, you know, run off into paradise, okay? And we also have Venus just finished its square to Saturn in Pisces. So there was a delay in some fun-loving energy. You know, Venus in Sag is fun-loving. It is a very nice energy. And with the square to Saturn, you know, there may have been some setbacks and delays. You may have not felt so fun and, you know, excitable and adventurous with that square aspect. But now that it's finished that, Venus is now going to oppose Jupiter in Gemini. So it's as if, you know, Venus was constricted by that square to Saturn, and there may have been some tensions and some, you know, struggle during that time. And now as Venus is starting to oppose Jupiter, Venus is like, yes, you know, and may go completely overboard when we're talking about Jupiter, who likes to expand things. So it's like, you know, you may have had delays and setbacks, and now you're just like, you know, you think of a balloon that you're blowing up, right? You know, you may have been stuck at it being at one size, and then you're like, no, I need to make it bigger. And you just keep blowing, and eventually it pops because it got too big. And so there is that possibility with Venus opposing Jupiter to go too hard, too fast, to do too much, right? So be mindful of that. However, when you have Venus, a benefic, opposing Jupiter, the great benefic, it is a beneficial aspect, even if they're in opposition to each other. So this may also help relational issues come to some more harmonious grounding, right? There may be some things that need to be discussed and talked about when you have Jupiter in Gemini. And Venus is in Sag is like, okay, I understand, because, you know, oh, by the way, there's a reception being made. You know, Jupiter would rather be in Sag, where it's home. And Venus is, you know, pretty much functioning the same as it would be if it were in Gemini. But the fact of the matter is that Jupiter is receptive to Venus, because Venus is where Jupiter rules. And so there's an opportunity for some beneficial interactions between people. When you see an opposition, it's usually, you know, a dynamic that happens between two different people or two different parties, where, you know, something needs to give, right? And so this is going to be one opposition where both parties can find a middle ground. Something will give, it will work out for the better when you have the two benefics in conversation with each other. So I think this new moon is going to be, it's going to be intense because of the Mars opposition to Pluto at 29 degrees. You know, that is like the backbone of this new moon. There's going to be something that needs to end. And there's going to be a need to also move slowly, because we're in Mars shadow period, towards whatever new beginnings are happening. with this new moon. And with the Grand Water Trine, even though, you know, as I mentioned before, there may be a need to dig deep for the details, you know, and do some investigative work. A Grand Water Trine is an emotional trine. So there is opportunity to tap into your emotions, into your intuition, into, you know, things that you just feel and you know and can sense, and honor that during this time. And, you know, this could also make people more vulnerable when you have a Grand Water Trine. So just be mindful of that, because even though this is a new moon, which isn't typically emotional, with this Grand Water Trine involved, it can be a little more emotional than the usual new moon energy. Especially as we have a lot of focus on Mars and Cancer. You know, Cancer is very emotional. And so just keep an eye on how you're feeling, and, you know, don't try to contend too much with any oppositional power struggle type dynamics. I would say, you know, be mindful and be compassionate during this time as things may come up, you know, especially if you're trying to close something out and start something new during this new moon. You know, you may want to plant seeds for something, but you have to look at the details, plan accordingly, and be smart about it. There may be a need to, you know, think of some things that you may not have thought of before. Don't go overboard with that Venus opposition to Jupiter. You know, you may want to celebrate something that's ending, and you may go a little too far, so be careful with that. And we have a lot more to unpack, as November is going to be quite an interesting month. There is a lot of change in the air. You know, when we have the full moon in November, that's going to be conjuncting Uranus. That's going to be, talk about a radical full moon. That is definitely what to expect for November's full moon. So I will be back to talk about that as we get closer to that time. But I hope this new moon is very beneficial for all of you, and you plant seeds that are fruitful in the long term, and that whatever comes up, you're able to navigate it smoother, knowing what's up ahead and what kind of energies are at play. So if you found this video helpful, please like the video, share your comments. I'd love to hear from all of you as to how you're feeling this energy play out, and things that you see happening that correlate with the astrology. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button and help the YouTube algorithm so I can grow my channel and make more videos and talk more astrology talk with all of you guys. So I greatly appreciate it. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.